Okay. Cameron Crowe and Katherine Beck here. We are going to talk about ancient history, Coal Valley Christian. So, to set the stage a little bit, I have a blog. I'm going to share my screen here so people can see. I have a blog called camgetspersonal.com, and I posted just a few days ago about my Coal Valley experience and how basically fucked up it was. But I didn't realize it until years later, and I didn't have the courage or feeling that I needed to share this like far and wide until recently. And I wrote it. And anyway, we can talk about elements of this, but this is going to be mostly about Catherine's story. But Katherine said, I want to share, my story too. And I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it. So yeah, I think that's a good intro. So Katherine, what we want to how did you react when you saw this? Or actually, we talked before I posted this.
Yeah, we had talked before, and you had mentioned you were doing this, and I was super excited to just give my input. The last few years, I guess I put it on the back burner, but especially from 18 to 25, I was super upset at my experiences there. And then I kind of just put it to the wayside, well, I guess this is just my experience. I live next door to Kyle Arnold, and he's a great friend. And he lives in the same duplex, and he's awesome. And we've shared our experiences with each other, and we've had that camaraderie, which has been really nice. But when you said you were doing this, I was just like, whoa, sick. This is exciting. I'm so glad other people.
You're going to do what?
And well, what struck me too is your email was so funny. It started out hey, long time no talk. So I'm a liberal atheist now.
You're like, wait, what?
Great. Which it did surprise me a little bit, but after I thought about it, I don't know, it kind of didn't surprise me that you would reach out that way. You and I have kind of run into each other at weird places around town. I've run into you with Ryan Kinney a lot.
Yeah. Ryan and I are hanging out all the time.
Yeah, and I've always enjoyed your presence. I will say there was some times in high school where I maybe didn't, but we can talk about that later.
Yeah, I'm very sorry.
Yeah, and it's funny with all of this. I don't think anybody is truly at fault. Maybe to a certain extent, there are other situations we could talk about that I had with other people from Cole where I knew that they could have done better, but we were also kids.
Yeah, no, we were all super immature and didn't know anything, and we were just reacting to our environment.
Yeah, and our environment was telling us to act a certain way. Anyway, so I'm so glad you're doing this. And so I've been thinking about it a lot, kind of my story, and I don't know, everybody's going to have a different one. My story is not going to be like anyone else's, and I don't want to go in comparing it or anything like that. But I think that mine is not only about just Cole, but just the pure indoctrination I've received since I was brought into this world. There wasn't a moment from the time I was born till I made a decision for myself that I was not told how to think, how to be, how to do whatever it was. So that's really taken a toll on me, I think. I have all these weird memories of Sunday school, from before I could read and stuff like that. I'm sure you have similar things.
Oh yeah. I think some people will watch this that didn't go to Coal Valley and maybe don't really have a whole lot of religious background or history at all. And they're I think that's maybe a point that's worth making is this encompasses every aspect of our lives. Back then it was
it was before we made our school friends. It was every meal we were praying. Like, I can't explain it. Like,
it was almost like, and you know, it was almost like every single like conversation had referenced it in some way.
Yeah.
Like, it's like you couldn't help but talking about like God or Jesus, about anything related to anything, for like more than like 5 minutes of talking. It was like so permeating.
And then if you had any type of human thing happen to you that was like, oh man, this happened today, well, let's pray about it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
There's initial reaction. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, you know, that really was the basis of my experience. I was also the youngest for a while. So I have 2 older siblings, and they're a lot older. They also went to Cole.
Oh.
Yeah. And
I don't know if I ever met them, or I don't remember.
You probably not. My brother's 10 years older than me, and my sister's 8 years older than I am. But they both went to Cole. We all had Miss Blackwell.
Miss Blackwell, yeah.
And then after my parents took in my cousins, all 3 of them had Miss Blackwell. You know?
Yeah.
So, which I thought she was great. She was my favorite anyway. But
yeah. So rabbit trail on that. Do you have any thoughts about like elementary school Coal Valley versus like junior high and high school Coal Valley? Because like a lot of conversations have been like, you know, somebody called me up. So like I was telling you before we started recording, like my phone has just been blowing up nonstop since this is like published. And I've probably only heard from about a third of the people that I think will probably say something to me eventually. They're just like, I think a lot of people are processing, and they're like, I don't know exactly what to think or say right now. But one guy was like, you know, my son's in, he's like, I experienced all this, like, I remember most of this stuff, but it never really struck me about like how messed up it was really until you said it like that. And he was like, yeah, man, my kid's in preschool at Coal Valley right now. Like, am I a bad person? Like, should I not have my kid in at Coal Valley? Like, is this bad? And we were talking, and I was like, well, you know, I was like, I personally don't want to support Coal Valley anyway. But in terms of like damage or harm that can happen to your son, it's probably much smaller possibility like earlier on, because they're not, you know, deep into the like dogma then.
Right.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts like reflecting on elementary versus junior high versus high school?
You know, it's funny. I do think it's interesting that you said that about your friend, because I was so excited about your blog. And I was talking with one of my friends about it, and she was like, what's your opinion on Coal Valley? Because I have a friend who was teaching there and is no longer allowed to teach there, and she has no idea what she's going to do with their kids. And I was just like, oh my God, let me send you this. Like, it's just everywhere. So, but back to your question.
Yeah.
I guess what I appreciated about elementary, it was a pretty safe elementary. I don't think in the elementary level we truly experience like real bullying. I'm a teacher now. I see it all the time.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I taught, right now I'm a preschool aide, but I taught 5th grade for the last 3 years out at Caldwell, and I loved it, and those kids are amazing, but it was nothing like what we experienced.
Yeah.
And I will say, the only things I appreciate having from elementary is like, I think it's cool they taught us calligraphy. Like, that stuff is useless, but it's cool stuff that we know how to do.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I have good memories of elementary, right? Like, I have memories of the four square dance, and like I had to play my fiddle at it every year. And I have good memories of elementary, and we were all friends, and it was all fun, and we all played on the playground, and it was great. And then I did leave for a period of time because I attended a charter school. And so I did not attend for, well, actually, here's what's funny. My mom pulled me out of Cole at the end of 4th. And according to her, we have different versions, but my mom's version is she was really upset that I didn't know my times tables at the end of 4th grade.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And she was like actually upset that the curriculum wasn't working more on my academics. Mm-hmm. And so she pulled me out. She homeschooled me for 5th grade. I taught myself. Yeah. I think that's when I was like, oh, teaching, I could do this.
I can do it for myself. I can do it for somebody else.
Right. So I homeschooled myself for 5th grade. And then I went to a charter school, and I came back to Cole in 9th grade. And it was a completely different place. There were new people, which I appreciated. That was kind of fun. But it wasn't the same. And it was very cliquish. I remember feeling like I had to try to fit in because I was coming back. I had gotten a small taste of like secular kids and like what they did. And so sometimes things at Cole, I'd be like, that's dumb. like we'd have to do something in chapel or something. And I'd be like, I'm not doing that. Like, that's lame.
Because you like, some people had this natively, like very few had this natively, but some people had, something from outside to compare it to. And then when things happened, they were like, what the fuck? This is like, right. Most of us didn't have that because we'd never been anywhere else. So like crazy stuff would happen. Like somebody says like, I understand why people want to blow up abortion clinics. And we're like, totally. And it's
right.
like,
and it was like nothing, like, oh yeah, duh. Well, and I think something else that really did have an impact on my personal experience was when I was 13, going to that charter school. That was when Alyssa's mom died, and Alyssa and her 2 brothers.
Oh yeah, God.
We ended up getting them, and they lived with us. Malik is 16 now. He's a really good basketball player at Rocky Mountain.
Nice.
Yeah, but that was definitely pivotal because as a 13-year-old, here I had been watching like Law and Order on the weeknights, and then all of a sudden it was happening in my life. Like, and by the way, like everybody knows you don't solve those things in 30 minutes, but not everybody knows that like, oh, and people on the other side are still making appeals 15, 16 years later. Like, that stuff never ends. And so then at 13, when that happened, and I was no longer the youngest child, I was now kind of the middle, almost the oldest of these 3 new kids. I had all these weird, like, why would God do this to these kids? Mm. Why would God do this to my parents? Why is this happening? Like, I was never upset that we took in 3 kids. I love those kids, and they're not kids anymore. They're all almost grown up. But I never understood why that was like part of our obligation as Christians to take that on. Mm. My parents are well old enough to be grandparents. They're never going to be, because none of my biological siblings and none of us want children.
Okay.
And for some reason, my older siblings and I don't know how my parents are different, but somehow they gave us each the ability to like question for ourselves. And I've had a conversation with my mom many times, like, about my place. Here's how it started. When I was 16 and I got my license, I quit going to church, right? I was like, she doesn't have to take me. I don't have to take me. And she was like, why are you going to church? Is your walk with the Lord okay? And I was like, yeah, it's fine. I don't need to go to church to be a Christian. I can be a Christian from at home. And then it was like, I'm 18, I'm 19, I finally get out of town and I like leave. And of course, I'm still not going to church. And it was like calls home, like, hey mom, how's it going? Oh, good. How's your walk with the Lord? It's fine. And then at a certain point, she knew like, my daughter doesn't have a walk. And she finally just flat out asked me. And I had to look at my mom one time and say, Mom, you can't be upset that your children didn't choose this path, because you gave us the ability to think for ourselves. Like, you gave us that. The Sunday school lessons at church didn't give me that. They didn't teach me how to question. They stifled that. They didn't want me to question. But you and Dad are good parents, and you taught me how to be a functioning adult.
It's giving me good.
And like, I think that kind of broke her heart, but at least she understood that like, we're not terrible people because we didn't choose that path.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's been something that's been really hard for me to reconcile, is like my want to please my parents because that was ingrained in me, and my want to be my own person.
Oh yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah, the way you presented it sounded like you were kind of like had confidence then, like you weren't afraid to do it. You were like, I just have to do this, and like I want you to understand. Were you scared to like have that conversation?
I was so scared. Like I avoided that conversation for weeks, months. Like she would ask me and I would be like, I'm fine, Mom. Like, it's good. Don't worry about it. My walk's good. And finally, like, and to this day, I will say, to this day, there is a certain part of me that I still don't feel like I can be 100% me around her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she is one of my best friends.
Mm-hmm.
And she knows I don't believe what she believes. And she's told me that. And she says she's cool with it because she loves me.
Yeah.
But I know that deep down, there's something there that like, and as a parent, there's always something like financially that they've got over my head too. So like, you know, I'm somehow always a little bit like bound to her or to that idea. I don't know.
Yeah.
And you know, here I'm like, I'm trying to be 30 years old and be a grown up. Like I just
adulting.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Huh.
So
wow, thanks for sharing that.
I have always thought it was really interesting that my biological siblings and I are very similar in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of struck me as odd as I was able to look back and reflect on it.
Yeah. So I'd love to like hear more. Like, you know, you shared that you felt like Coal Valley kind of didn't want you to question. But you felt your parents did. So you had that kind of safety at home, sort of, to some degree. And can you like, I'd love to hear if there's any stories or like specifics of your time at Coal that like kind of stand out to you as like, this is what it was like for me. Or this is what somebody, you know, obviously we talked about this ahead of time, like not naming names, because it's not about blaming.
Right.
We just want to share like what this was like and like increase awareness. But yeah, is there anything that stands out to you as like when you think about like going back to the Coal Valley days, it's like, you know, these things are just seared into my memory or anything like that?
I think there's a couple either things or situations that stuck with me, and well, I wrote in that survey. I know it's anonymous. Here I'm outing myself. That's cool.
I guess you're on video camera about all this stuff.
Yeah. Hey, Mom. Hope you liked all that. So I guess for myself, you know, I just come back from this charter school. And at the charter school I was at, it was like a super small class, similar to Cole, but secular kids. Like, it was totally different world. Like, these kids were crazy. But I found this like need to be accepted back into the fold, so to speak. Like, and so I really did try to like be all in, like wear what other people were wearing, go where other people were going. Like, I really tried hard. I was in my youth group, my girls' youth group, like on Wednesdays and like all this stuff. And like, it didn't matter how much I tried, there was something that I was doing wrong. So I can think of an example, like when we were on the Washington, D.C. week-long trip or whatever.
Yeah.
And again, like, I'm not going to say names. It doesn't matter. It's just all silly now. But my best friend and I were holding hands. Oh, that's so sweet. And man, that pissed her boyfriend off. Whoa. And within a matter of like, by the time we got home at the end of the trip, I like wasn't allowed to be her friend anymore unless I like didn't touch her. Like, we were like 14. What kind of bullshit is that? Like, I don't understand. Like,
yeah. Like if you don't stop this right now, they're both going to be like lesbians for life and that are going to go to hell.
Right? Like, I just couldn't wrap my brain around like what is your problem? Like, I'm not making you any less of a 15-year-old man than you are right now by hanging out with my best friend. Like, fuck off.
Yeah.
That's how I felt.
Yeah.
And that happened in different ways. Like, that similar scenario would happen in different ways to me. And I just really had a hard time finding friendship that would last. Like, it was like conditional friendship. I could be your friend if this. I can be your friend if you don't do this. And that to me was really strange. I don't know. Conditional friendship. I don't know. When we were preached to like love unconditionally, I didn't get that.
Everybody was like, oh yeah, totally. Love is patient, love is kind, does not envy, it does not boast. You know, everybody loves that verse. Everybody had it memorized. But then on the reality was so far from it, right?
Right, totally. And what you just said kind of reminds me of, it leads me into another topic, another idea that kind of stuck with me. And that dudes were disgusting and gross, and they, like, okay, it is not a guy that went to Cole, but it was another Christian who taught me the game of chicken. Do you know this game? I was like,
not like when you're about to like run into each other or something, and
no, at least maybe not the version I was taught. So when I was 15, this Christian guy that I knew, like through a worship team, like taught me this game of chicken where he put his hand on my thigh, and the idea was my hands on his
I know where this is going.
Yeah, our hands move up and up and up until someone chickens out and takes their hand off. Like, what a stupid ass game to begin with. But like, as a female who was 14 and 15, being told like, this is fun, like, do this with me, like, what was I supposed to say? He was supposed to like, I didn't want to be on bad terms with him, so worship team sucked. Like, what? Like that kind of shit. But what you said about the love is patient, love is kind, I was in another situation later, which was of my own accord. I was maybe 17 or 18, and I was not having sex. I hadn't done that yet, but I was definitely having fun with this guy. And I had reached up and like put my hand on his rib cage, and he's like, ouch, ouch. I'm like, what? He's like, I just got a new tattoo, be careful. I'm like, cool, a new tattoo, let me see it. And it was the love is patient, love is kind. And I was just like, oh my God, like, you gotta be shitting me. Like,
oh man. But
my God.
That might sound weird to somebody listening to this, but like, how common were like Bible verse tattoos?
Oh yeah.
Like the majority. If you got a tattoo, it was like a cross, or like the Christian fish, or like, you know, something in Hebrew, or
right. And I just remember like laughing to myself, being like, this is absurd.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh yeah.
So you mentioned, I kind of want to go back to the holding hands and the boyfriend, like this really bothering him for some reason. One thing that comes up a lot in these conversations I've had with people is this kind of weird thing where Coal Valley people think they're being victimized by people being themselves or like telling their story. Like okay, so I'll just give a real example. So class of 2008, you didn't graduate from Coal Valley, right?
No, I left and I graduated from Centennial.
Yeah. Okay, so we're coming up on, or we just passed it, I don't even know, the 10-year anniversary. And it wasn't looking like we were going to have what do you call it? The get together.
Reunion.
Yeah, reunion. But some people put together a Facebook group. It's like the class of 2008 Facebook group, and some people had this cool like idea of, let's everybody just like kind of share where they're at and what's been going on for the last 10 years. Which is cool. And so people were kind of like, hey, I'm married, I've got a kid or whatever. I'm in this line of work. I live here. A lot of, I've gone through a lot of stuff. I have some fond memories about Coal Valley, whatever. And and I share, I participated, and I said, this is what I'm up to. By the way, like, there's a lot of things about Coal Valley I'm not a fan of anymore. And I was kind of real on that. And then a classmate of mine who was gay, you probably know who he is. Like everybody knew he was gay the whole time. He was like, the way he talked, the way he acted, that's just who he is. And since he's come out and is, really proud of him, a proud gay man, and we've stayed close. And he was texting me kind of like, I don't know if I'm going to share. And I was like, you should do it. Like, give him some of the real shit. And he did. And it took a lot of balls. Like, he's like, these are people that hated him, said they didn't hate him, or love the sinner, hate the sin, whatever. Right. But he did some real talk, and it was like, I don't know, 500 words maybe. It was like good. I was so proud of him. And then one of the guys in the class basically attacked him and said, like, what's up with this? Like, you like feel like you need to like criticize us? Like, what's your problem, man? Like, why do you feel like you need to say this? So
because of his truth, like,
yeah. But and this is like, and then so we've talked about this, my friend and a few other friends that like really we've been in like a safe discussion, like a tiny, small, safe discussion group for this. And now there's a support group, which is like, I'm really excited about. But, and he was just like, it's this thing that's so weird about Coal Valley. Like, they think they're victims when somebody that was a victim says what really happened. It's like, whoa, like, for the first time maybe in their life, they're like, you're saying something that doesn't, like, I don't feel good about, and like now I feel like I need to come back on you and be like, whoa, don't like tread on me, man. But like, this was his every waking moment for 13 years. And like, so anyway, that was just like an insight into this like whole like victim thing, where like some people that have like, been the most privileged people in this environment, and like, I don't know, do you feel like that this has anything to do with that like boyfriend that was like, whoa, don't do that, like, you're like somehow like affecting me, like, you get your
I very much think so. Yeah, absolutely. I very much think so. I think there was also a mentality that was fed to the boys that was, like you said in your blog, like, you are here, women are here to please your man and please your husband, and you better listen to us. And I think that there was a feeling of a little bit of like, I'm a little holier than thou to some of these people. Like, I would never do those things. How dare you do those things in my presence, type of a thing. That was always really hard for me, because it was so contradictory to what the teachings, the Bible was trying to say, like, love your neighbor. Like, and I would always question things like, Mom, didn't Jesus wash, the prostitute's feet, like, wasn't all this stuff happening? Wasn't he hanging out with the tax collectors and the dregs? Like, I don't understand, why can I not allow my heart to be open to these people too? And why am I getting shit on if I do? Like, that's what I didn't understand. And just like you said, those people had this idea that, well, I'm doing it for the Lord, therefore I am better. I think it was a form of brainwashing for them. I also think it's, I don't know, narcissism.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you're not doing it God's way, why even bother to talk to you?
Yeah. Right.
I'm not going to let you ruin my day. I don't know.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just that one student who faced those horrible things that happened to him. I mean, there were kids who were expelled. We know that. I mean, everybody knows all this. Everybody who went there knows all this. And that's what kills me, is some of those same people, they know all this and they still turn that blind eye that they so ferociously preached not to turn.
Yeah.
Like, what's that verse? The verse that cracks me up the most, that always comes back to me, is the one about take the plank out of your own eye before getting the speck of dust out of your brother's. Like, yeah, why don't ya?
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. No, that you're so right about, it wasn't just this guy that I'm mentioning. Like, there's dozens and dozens and dozens of them throughout the years.
Yeah.
And everybody knows part of the story, but maybe like nobody really wants to like know the whole story. Maybe with them, and maybe they've heard rumors or rumblings and stuff. But like I've probably had like 30 or 40 people reach out to me individually and be like, "Oh my God, thank you. I thought I was alone. I tried to kill myself," or like, this happened to me. This happened to me," and I'm like, oh my goodness, like, I'm so sorry. And
I do believe it's systematic, and I do believe it's for profit.
Really?
Oh yeah. I mean,
it's definitely, I totally agree with systematic. I don't know about the for profit, but tell me what you think.
I'm not going to put any figures out there because I don't have like the receipts or anything, but my mom sure does. And like, on that survey, I also wrote about how I've been tutoring my brother because he's very far behind. Granted, he's got some learning stuff going on. He's a little dyslexic, stuff like that. But he's been attending, or he had been attending, he's not anymore. He had been attending Cole's kind of like offshoot. It's very small. I like the idea behind it. It's like super small class sizes, like 1-to-10 ratio. That's amazing. The kids get really great, like, hands-on experience. They're doing stuff that they can understand, right? Like it's good in that respect. However, there's been some things that have come to light that I'm like, as a teacher, I'm like, that seems weird. For example, his entire freshman year of English doesn't transfer to public school.
What?
Why? And by the way, this offshoot is more expensive than just Cole tuition. And when it's only
not
like
accredited?
It's a big mystery to me. Like, they've done he got some testing done because I was like, Mom, you should see like if he qualifies for any like services, we can get him some extra help and stuff. That's a good thing. And I believe, I have no proof. I believe that because they're a private institution, they're not held to the same state standards as a regular public school, and they don't have to put him on things like an IEP, which is an individual education plan, or a 504, which is a plan for kids with disabilities that is enacted by law. Like, you have to give services to these kids in a public school. But because they're not a public school, I don't think he ever received those services. And now he's in high school and he is really far behind.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes me so angry.
Yeah.
Because that's not his fault.
Right.
He's trying to do his work. He's trying to catch up and do 10th grade work, even though he's still at an 8th grade level.
Sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah. And a big waste of money.
Yeah. Yeah. We're not talking.
And this particular one, my mom stated that she was paying thousands of dollars a month.
Whoa.
That's what, and I'm not going to give you the numbers that she gave me because I don't have the receipts in front of me. But it was more than $1,000 a month.
Yeah, which is about what Normal Coal Valley. Well, Normal Coal Valley is like $5,000 a year, right? Or at least it used to be. I don't have no idea what it is now.
At least it used to be, yeah.
Yeah. So like, I'm glad I wanted to like throw a range out there because like some people don't realize that like our parents believed in this so much that they basically like paid what it would take for us to be in like college for 13 years.
Yeah.
We
were in kindergarten.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And then you think of all the families who, like, my family alone put 6 kids through coal.
Wow. That's like,
now granted,
6 figures.
Half of those kids, you know, weren't directly my parents, and they had some other things coming in. But really, it doesn't matter where the money comes from. It's all going to coal.
Right. Yeah. So like, do you, how do you feel toward like coal now? I mean, you have a lot of strong feelings, and so do I, but like, do you, like you, I'm sure, do not want to support them financially, or anyone to support them financially.
No.
But like do you want like coal to like disappear, like to go out of business, or like, or what do you want for coal?
Here, as I've gotten older and my views have changed, and now I'm of a perspective where I'm like, you know what, I don't believe in that, but if that's what you believe in, if that's what gets you through the day, if that's what you need to sleep at night, is a faith like that, I wouldn't want those people to be out of jobs. They believe in it. However, it's kind of like politics. It's really hard to scrape out the corruption, right? Like, where do you start a school that isn't going to be corrupt in its teachings, isn't going to take your money and rob you and not give you like the education you deserve with that amount of money,
right,
and still make you like a productive, well-rounded, open-minded, like, that's a really lofty goal, right? I read in your blog, you know, I think that you're right, BK has kind of a better approach.
And I don't know that much about BK, just like,
and I don't either, and I don't know about you, but when we were going to high school, I always heard that BK was like the party school, like,
oh yeah,
I don't know, like,
yeah, because like kids like make out and like maybe they've tasted alcohol before or something.
Yeah. I don't know. I think another reason, sorry, I'm kind of backtracking a little bit.
Yeah, no, like, let's go wherever.
Well, I think another reason, I kind of said earlier that I felt like coal is a little for profit. So one of the reasons I left, not aside from like harassment and bullying type stuff, one of the reasons I left is I really wanted to graduate early. Like, that was a personal choice. My older brother and sister had both done it, and I was like, I can too. Like, why not? And in my brain, I'm like, and I'll save mom and dad a couple bucks. Like, so I told my parents, yeah, I was like, yeah, I want to graduate my junior year. And my parents were like, cool, let's do it. So I go in to talk to the counselor at Cole, and she was like, oh, honey, but you'll miss prom. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Like, I still want to graduate early. And she wouldn't like give me the things I needed to do to start that process. She just said, no, it's not good for you. You need to stay here. You know, your walk with the Lord needs to continue, blah, 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 blah. And she like wouldn't fancy the idea of me leaving Cole early. And that's when I went home and I said, so I want to go to public school. And it was so funny to me because when I did go to public school, the first thing I did was went to my new counselor. I said, I want to graduate early. She goes, well, you're a little too late to get done by junior year, but you can graduate by semester of your senior year.
Yeah.
I said, okay, can we make that happen? She goes, you'll miss prom. Do you care? And I go, nope. And she's
Hell
like,
no.
Great. And I did. And I graduated at semester. Like,
weird. Somebody that actually was like trying to help you find solutions for what you wanted.
Yeah. Crazy, huh?
Weird. So, yeah, is there anything else like that's been on your, like something else you want to share? Because I feel like one thing I want to get to in the last few minutes is like, what do you have to say to, like, do you have anything to say to like Cole Valley administrators? And then do you have anything to say to like prospective parents that are like, should I put my kid in Cole Valley? I think to me, I don't want to bias your response, but like, to me, I didn't expect Coal Valley administrators to really get this. Like, they hear these stories. They're all, under the radar, and they have these conversations, and they kick people out, and they like whatever. They know these feelings exist. And some criticism I've gotten from the post is, well, you should have just talked to him. This isn't the right way to do it. And I'm like, well, yeah, you must not understand the idea of whistleblowing. You think like me, one person going and talking to one person behind closed doors where it's like they can basically disregard it and it's all just myself. Like, you think that would be as powerful as me talking to thousands of people about myself, and then suddenly all these people that have rallied behind me, like it's my voice, but like I'm representing them too. And anyway, so like I didn't really expect any Coal Valley minds to change. Like, I don't think people typically, in politics or whatever, like you virtually never succeed at changing somebody's mind that's like very strong. But so I'm curious, like, do you have anything to say to them? And then like for me, it was like these people that are on the fence. They're like, is Coal Valley for us? Like, I want them to think twice.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess if I had to leave a message with them, as a former student, I wish that my time there had been more filled with love than resistance and a sense of putting students in their place for the will of God. Had I experienced more a feeling of love and forgiveness, perhaps I would have stayed in the church longer, or maybe to this day, I don't know.
A lot of people have said that, yeah.
But it wasn't a place I felt safe. And I think if they want it to continue in a healthy way for both students and faculty, they need to get their heads out of their asses and figure out what loving others truly means.
Yeah.
Because their teachings haven't provided that for them yet.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
And I think for people who are considering putting their children there, here's what I have to say to that. I think it is on a student-to-student basis. And here's why I say that. For the most part, my older brother, sister, and I did very well there, for the most part. Academically, I struggled with social stuff there, but it worked for us. We were motivated students. We wanted to do well. We wanted to get good grades. It provided a place academically where we could do that.
Yeah.
But again, I say it's on a very student-to-student basis. You might have one kid it works for, and you might have another kid, like some of our friends, that face daily just
trauma.
Yes. And that is not the place for that child.
Yeah.
And I think you need to think about your kids first, not their school first. Think about your kid as an individual. Like, I'm a teacher. I teach in the public school sector, but I'm all for school choice. And that's controversial. Like I should be all for public schools, but I went to a charter school, and that was the best shit that ever happened to me. Mm-hmm. And so I'm all for school choice. I think that parents need to have that ability, right? Mm-hmm. But if you are going to be in an educational role as an administrator, a teacher, whatever, you need to be thinking about your clientele, which is a student. It's a child. Mm-hmm. And parents need to do the same thing before they decide what school they're going to go with.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And if you're feeling like my child is like a rebel and I'm going to like fix him by putting them in Coal Valley to like.
That's the wrong way to think about that.
Yeah.
You're just going to build this barrier between yourself and your child, and that child will become more difficult because you're putting them in a box at Coal Valley.
And it's only going to get worse.
With boxes, go for it.
Yeah, like it's like the absolute opposite that kid probably needs, right? Because they're going to be like, oh, you're bad, and like we are going to they punish you until you admit you're bad and change.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of schools, not just private ones, really are backward in thinking with certain students what will fix them. But like that kid that's difficult, that child you have that's hard at home, they need to go out and find some meaningful volunteer work. They need to teach their own set of skills to someone else that can benefit from them, because that's where they feel valid. That's where they feel like they're being useful. Like, don't put them somewhere where they know they're going to fail and that's the only mindset they can keep. And Coal Valley is that for many kids.
Yeah. Wow.
And, you know, public school is not the perfect choice for every kid either, but when you're thinking monetarily, long term, like, you need to really.
You can use that money for college, or like, so your family doesn't have to struggle financially, like.
Or like decide now, like, if you want your kid to like go to college and question life and waste all that money, like.
Yeah, like I think a lot of us kids, like we had, you know, we went. I'll speak for myself, like. There was money to put me in Coal Valley for 13 years, and my sister, but there wasn't money for college. And it's like, okay, which, like, that's a trade-off I think a lot of parents make all the time. And I'm like, now I'm like the opposite, please. Like, it should have been the other way. Yeah.
Yep, I know.
Well, anyway, KB, amazing conversation. Yeah, I hope you got some good stuff off your chest. I sure did.
Thank you so much for doing this, Cameron. I think this is fantastic, and I hope that other people can get some peace, whether or not it be from these anecdotal stories or listening to others or speaking with you. There's a lot of us out there, so thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for going out there on the record. It's kind of scary, and some people have more or less risk in doing that, and some people can't do it because their livelihoods will be affected, or they're too afraid. So thank you for being somebody that said, you know, I want to go out there and I want to tell my story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because not everybody can. So you're speaking for yourself, but I think a lot of people feel like you're speaking for them too.
Well, I hope so. And I hope maybe this will, I don't know, bring back some old friendships that maybe died for the wrong reasons. So.
Yeah. Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
thank you.
Get ready to be famous.
Woohoo! Yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot. You have a good rest of your day.
Yeah, you too, Cameron.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.